Bienvenidos a todos más rapiditamente. Los que sí ocupan interpretación de inglés a español, sí tenemos aparatos aquí. Yes. So, si gustan, ahorita levantan la mano así para que se los pueden traer. So, if you require interpretation, and also for those of you listening on Zoom, please make sure to touch or click on the globe icon and you'll be able to select your language from English or Spanish. Test, test, test.
Tony,
Sí, Mayor.
de agarraste el mensaje y me preguntado,
Sí, sí, mire, pero
pues sí, pero no sé si la podemos poner.
yo creo más quieren monitorear para que no digamos algo de extras. Nomás voy a decir que nos están apoyando.
Y que están presentes. Here, you know, about the same.
No, da igual, se va y se duerme.
Going to attack you.
Y antes cuando los traeba de allá todo el tiempo se suben al carro y se duermen.
Not even. If I
Eh,
stand up, I'm like taller. Which is
¿Cómo ves?
It's just allowing everyone time to settle down. Once again, if anyone requires interpretation, we do have our team here. So si alguien está ocupando, requiere de interpretación, levantan la mano si no tienen el aparato. No, okay. And then those of you on Zoom, you can select your language. Let's go to the bottom toolbar. You should see a little globe icon. You can select between English or Spanish. Like I said, we'll probably get started in about 3 more minutes. Again, we have water, horchata, jamaica. Please feel free to grab some.
Champions of healthcare. Champions for you. Like freedom ring with exclusive savings at your Robert's 4th of July clearance event. Save up to 60% on clearance merchandise. Transform your living room with speedy deals. Save $1,000 on the luxurious sofa space with better density than this $9.99. Or get these 2 comfortable body recliners for only $4.98. Plus, furniture home with up to 60 months financing. Head to your home's 4th of July clearance. It's and then there's the participatory this kind of I was just cooking for 20 years. I bought all these products. Not a single one worked. When I drove past the boutique store, I just stopped there, looking at her. They wanted to make sure that they gave me some right arch support for my feet. For my feet, not somebody else's feet. And you didn't use it. Just when they put on the right one, Teresa. And that's my good feet story. See for yourself. We personalized our support today. This month, thousands of kids will lose access to school space. Food is a daily need for every child, but not every family has access to the healthy food needed for kids to grow. Feeding San Diego is a local nonprofit summer meal program to nourish the Pittsburgh community. Your donation. Hey, business owners, check out the Open Ford Pro Elite Commercial Service Center in California. Here to service your fleet. We'll get you in and out fast. We have the experience with 5 60 years of Open Ford service. Nobody treats you better than alcohol.
Your money.
Handling thousands of car crashes, we will give you the support you need and help you get the best results. They want to bring team for the Alan White Star and the advance sequel. Stories more for Taylor.
Start with some movie news. 20th Century Studios just dropped a first look at Jeremy Allen White's transformation into Bruce Springsteen. We have the trailer for Springsteen, Deliver Me from Nowhere. Take a look.
This is not about either one of us. This is not about the charts. This is about Bruce Springsteen. This is the song. Sorry. I feel like I'm in the room by myself. Yeah. What's wrong?
Aside from White, the movie
All right, good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
All right,
Amongst friends.
give you all a quick second to settle down. Before we begin, I would like to introduce our mayor, Alvaro Preciado. He'd like to do a quick introduction, and then we'll get started with our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. So first of all,
Star Joe and Jonathan Bailey eager smooth upon seeing one another. This is the 8th installment of the Jurassic Park franchise, and it takes place at a
council meetings, but also in our community events. Today, it is actually a presentation, it's not a debate. We're gonna try to answer most of the questions you guys have regarding the new plan, fire department. There's 4 options, it's not only one, there are 4 options. So saying that, I hope be respectful to each other. We're here as a community. We're not here to fight. We're here to kind of come together, unite ourselves, and move forward. Changes are good, they're bad, but sometimes changes are necessary. That's something that we experience through life. So saying that, I would like to give it back to our city manager. Quería darle las gracias a todos por quiero que presten atención, por favor, sean respetuosos. Estamos trabajando para ustedes, tratando las opciones que tenemos. Son muy buenas opciones, pero necesitamos también la colaboración de ustedes. Sean respetuosos con unos con otros y esperemos que al final pueden llevar una información, mírenla y la siguiente semana, miércoles, vamos a tener otra junta para seguir contestando las preguntas. So next week we'll have planned another meeting Wednesday. So today is mostly a presentation. We may have, I don't know how much time we're going to have to answer questions, but next week will be where we're going to be able to kind of answer questions and take more questions and give you more answers. Hours. So to answer everybody's question, we'll need 5 or 6 hours. So we don't have that much time tonight. So I hope you understand. That's the situation. Well, that's the plan. Thank you.
Yes. All right. This work, this on? How's this sound? Is it on or off?
You're too close
Test, 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 probably. All right. Yeah, that too. All right. It's either the speaker or this. That helps. All right. Can everyone hear me okay? Or is that too? Yeah, I'll use this. Fair enough. Yeah, this first part's not too complicated. All right, good evening, everybody. As Mayor just said, it's great to see everybody here, so much community. As you all might know, my name is Anthony V. Lopez. I am a lifelong resident of Avenal. I'm a proud Buccaneer of the class of 2010 and currently work for the city as the city manager. So for tonight, I will be moderating tonight's town hall. So let's see. Be doing some short introductions. I will talk a little bit about the town hall guidelines, as well as what we've been doing for community engagement. Then the next town hall will be Wednesday, June 25th. We will have that same time, 6:30 in the Pegasus Ballroom. So the reason Mayor mentioned about answering questions, we will be presenting a lot of information which may generate more questions. So we want to be mindful of that and allow the community time to obviously see, digest it, and then still come back and dialogue with us some more. So before I go any further, just again, si alguien requiere de interpretación, por favor levanta la mano. Creo que ya todos tienen el aparato. Yes. So we're hoping to be done by 8:30. It may be pushed back a little.
Yeah, I'm gonna try one more time, baby.
Yeah, and then maybe I can answer that question. So, and just again, prefiere. So those of you on Zoom, you should still pick if you're going to be listening to this in English or in Spanish. Do have. We do ask everyone to please remain seated during the presentation. We will not be taking questions during the presentation itself. That way we can kind of get through it and then allow more time at the end. Again, we will have a dedicated time for public comment and questions following the presentation. And during the comment period, we will prioritize hearing from Avenal residents first. And again, this is the first of 2 town halls. We are going to be doing another one next Wednesday. We'll be having that at the Pegasus Ballroom. And then if you're unable to get all your questions tonight, we do still want to hear from you. We do ask that you could email our city clerk at cityclerk@cityofavenal.gov. Likewise, you can call City Hall and we'll take your questions as well. And we'll also set up a portal on our website tomorrow. 766, yeah, 365-766. So moving on, so in terms of the introduction, the purpose of tonight's meeting is to discuss the long-term future of fire services in Avenal. Now, I understand for the past few weeks, this has been an important topic for our community. And I want to acknowledge that there has been some confusion, there has been some concerns being shared with the city about being left out without any professional fire services. So let me assure everybody right now that this will not happen. Avenal will not go a day without. Now, on behalf of the city and for myself personally, I do apologize for any confusion that the lack of information or in our meetings, our actions may have caused. This has never been our intention, and is something that we're working to rectify now. The goal for tonight's meeting is to present the information so that we are all on the same page and we can all understand the situation together. My job as city manager is to help the city council make decisions that are grounded in common sense, sustainability, and most importantly, the will of the community. I remind everyone that I'm also part of this community, and I would never recommend an action or do believe it is important to make informed decisions with the guidance of experts in all things involved in the city. So we'll discuss a little bit some of the people that have been helping guide some of this. And as we move forward, you'll get to hear from them as well. Okay. So the agenda, as I mentioned, is the commitment to community safety. Why is this conversation happening now? A little bit about the community engagement, go into the presentations of a feasibility study and some options, and then also some recommendations. So we will hear tonight from two individuals who have a long history in public service and public safety. One being our former chief of police, now assistant chief of police and public safety manager, Robert Nevarez, has a wealth of knowledge and information he'd like to share tonight. Then also guide us in understanding different models of fire agencies. So to just kind of preface everything about what it is that a city does and why we're here, our commitment is the community safety. We have a vision, mission, and values that kind of ground us at the city as our staff to make Avenal the ideal community to live, work, and thrive, a city that combines small town charm with innovative solutions to create the highest quality of life for residents while celebrating its natural beauty and connected and inclusive community through sustainable services, exceptional public spaces, and opportunities for community, partnership, service, and growth. One of the things when I speak to a lot of our residents, speak to our staff, the reason that they keep coming back, the reason that they stay in Avenal is because Avenal is home. I know that for each and every one of you here, this is why we care so much about this situation. Avenal is our home, and we do anything to protect it. We do anything to defend it. And I know that we can at least share that passion together. So why are we discussing this? Why now? Right? What brought us to this point? So residents, we even have our former mayor who was part of the committee who helped start getting our city to be incorporated. And that is that the county was doing at the time. So before we were a community service county had to provide them. County was charging the community. Community got no say in how to spend its money. Over time, the city has worked towards becoming self as a contract city, but more of a full service city. When you're a full service city, means that you provide all the services as much as you can. You know, we went from having county sheriffs to having our own department. That's now been running for 15 years. Now, all of a sudden one day decided, you know what can we do about the fire services? City at first did not have to providing a contribution, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000. Up to 400, now 425,000. And now what we're seeing is there's going to be another big jump this coming fiscal year, going from 450,000 to 1.9 million. Okay. So this is just a quick graph that we will go into a little bit further, but this is just okay. Then this one's too loud. How's that? That better? All righty. So we'll go into this a little bit further. This is what is the contribution the cities had to pay. Easiest way to say is out of pocket, out of of 1.9 or 1.09 million. I mentioned the property taxes, and the county has been gracious of helping the community and helping the city include part of the property taxes that we all pay into to help contribute and lower the out-of-pocket costs for the city. However, we do need to be realistic in knowing that this is the total cost of what fire services are here in Avenal. So that cost that the city pays, that is what the city has to pay, the receipt we get, but this is the actual cost. So as a city, we have to be good stewards of the community's money. We have a fiscal responsibility not to go over budget. We've been very fortunate, past administrations and even to today, able to use for things like police department, our fire services, our animal control, our recreation, summer activities, community events, parks and grounds, our city hall operations and staff, our code enforcement and permits, and also building maintenance. So roughly it's moved up from 4.8 to 5 to close to 6 million this past fiscal year. So in knowing the limited budget that we have to work with, it became important this year to really engage the community a step further. And you all may remember that we conducted the Avenal Speaks survey. So this survey, I'm proud to announce that we did have over 740 surveys completed. We got a lot of response. Over a third of the community participated. And generally, a lot of positive themselves, but we really wanted to get into the granular of how people felt about city services, how they felt of things that we could do better, what things were lacking in the city. So we highlighted a few questions of what new services you would like to see and what changes you would like to see. So, and we will be posting these. It's going to be a little hard to see. As I mentioned, what are new services you would like the city to provide or you'd like to learn more about? I'll read a few. More city development to increase youth engagement, participation such as gyms, sports facilities, and other social activities. Actividades y programas para adolescentes. Now, this is something that came up. These are just a few of them, but it recurred over at least 50 times. Something for the youth to be busy, gym to lift weight, programs for the youth. More resources, investing in city public transportation, better road quality, better lighting and crosswalks, opportunity. The other question we got was, what is a change or improvement that you would like to see in Avenal? This one also kind of echoing the same. The young people suffer due to lack of jobs and things to do. I want to see more programs for kids to be involved in. Volunteering for work for high schoolers is just free work. They need to learn how to work for their money because the high school is not doing enough. Education. A lot of kids that may be unsure of what career to follow. Again, job opportunity. And it's a common theme thread that kept repeating itself. So part of the big piece of it is collaborating more with our school district. As you've probably seen, we've been working with the Family Engagement Center. We've hosted a few events. Most recently, we are collaborating on opening. Likewise, another item that came up a lot is public but we need to look at all our other facilities, existing facilities. A big one has been the Avenal Sports Complex. As many of you probably know, large space facility that has so much potential being underutilized. So we have prioritized that since the spring to work on that problem. Well, we have some soccer stars from Mexico, El Güero Real, Hector Reynoso, Omar Esparza, y hope to have other kind of clinics and other activities as part of the city. You know. And so there's that, and I believe they were passing out that flyer, so hopefully you're able to see it. If you're interested, call City Hall. You can call Ana Lara as well. We'll be taking registrations for all that too. And then just to kind of say that by the end of this year, we will have the community center open. Getting those safe recreational spaces that community has asked us to do. The community center will also host a weight room, they have a dance space, an industrial kitchen for nutritional classes. So that's going to require some staffing, and that's some okay. Oh. So now about why we're all here. All right. So I was tasked at council's request to explore options for fire services. You know, as we're seeing all the priorities that the community has, the community is asking from the city, you know, the city council's main responsibility is to try to, you know, measure each of those needs and figure out what is possible. Prohibitively expensive. If we continue down this route, it may get to the point where we have to cut services. We may not be able to accomplish a lot of the projects, a lot of the ideas that the community is asking us to do. So, you know, over the long run, now it's 1.5, 1.6, soon it'll be 2 million, and it'll just keep going and growing from there. We started by investigating and contacting local cities, other agencies to look at fire service models with the public safety team. So who are these people we've been talking about? Here they are. So I mentioned already, Assistant Chief of Police, Robert Nevares, Public Safety Manager, our Chief of Police, Cecilio Velasco, and then also our consultant, Hector Marin.
Thank you, Tony. Is this off?
It's off, just speaking.
Okay. How's that? Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm going to be in this microphone here pretty soon, Humberto. My name is Robert Navarez, and a lot of background, but I want to start by saying this. Nothing that I say today is a knock on the firefighters in the back of the room. That's not what this is about. I've been in law enforcement for 40 years, almost 40 years. I've worked alongside the men and women that put their lives on the line right there with us. None of this is directed at them. I have the utmost respect for firefighters. This is about one thing. This is cost. It's about the cost and whether it was appropriate to continue down the same path that we were on. To stir up the community and cause them to be in the next few minutes. One factor, the only factor, was how to one thing in mind, only one thing, and that's safety. We were never going to compromise on safety. So what the heck do I know about firefighting? I was with Fresno PD for 32 years. I was the deputy chief. That's the number 2 position at Fresno PD for 15 years. The mayor now was a chief for like 20. Budget, $165 million budget. I built the budget every year, and I was responsible to make sure that we stayed within budget. So I don't know anything about firefighting, but I know about organizational structures, and I know how to make budgets, and I'm telling you all that not just because I want to brag about what I've done, but because I want you to understand that I understand a budget when I see it presented to us. I can see if it's rational. That's why Tony's kept me around as the not a whole lot more than I'm valuable at, but that's one of the assets that I possess is I know how to read a budget, I know how to build a budget, I know how to keep within budget.
3 minutes are up. 3 minutes are up.
So, what was the impetus? What caused us to get concerned? You can go to the next slide. Well, I'm going to talk about these two things first. The next one is the timeline and context. Why was this such a big deal? Go to the next slide, Tony. Can I borrow your pointer? Oh, here it is. Okay. I need you to look at these numbers. I promise you I won't bore you with a lot of numbers, but you got to understand these. We were paying, before this all came up, we were paying $849,000 for fire services. 849. Okay? You all manage your budgets. You all got a mortgage. That amount went from 849 to what is now $1.6 million. Okay? Just get your mind around that number. Somebody gave me an analogy earlier. I don't know where the analogy came from, but I'm going to steal it. If you were making a mortgage payment for $1,000 a month, and then the next month they send you a bill for $2,000, would you ask a question? Or would you just say, oh yeah, I'm just going to keep paying it? I think you'd ask a question. That's what your city manager did. I know because I was with him when we got the bill and we went and met with the county and we told them, this doesn't seem reasonable. Is there another option? Can we step into it? Can we find another way? I was there, I saw it, I was a witness. There was no budging. That's what it was. This is not directed at those guys in the back. They don't make their budgets. When I was a deputy chief in Fresno, I made the budget. I was the guy to blame, not the guys out there answering the calls. Stay on that slide, please. Through the budget. And I want you to look through it with me. So this is the number of positions that we were told it took to run a 2-person fire station. That's 9 positions. Add them up. Captain A, Captain B, Captain C. That's 3. You can all do the math. Engineer A, Engineer B, Engineer C. That's 3. Nine positions to staff 2 people at the fire station. Okay. That's not what we were told. It's 2. That's the budget that we got for 2. Has it been modified since then? Yes, but that's the first document we got. This is what happened. Okay. All right. So this is the budget we were presented initially. This is it. That's what caused a significant amount of the increase. And she may be right in the back. Maybe they were going to staff more people. I'm going to take a little break. Okay. So I'm just telling you guys the chronology of this. This is the chronology. I was there. Okay. I was at the meetings.
Moving along. Stop.
I will tell you that this proposal was modified. And I'm going to show you what it was modified to so that you can see what that to see what caused us to go, oh, wow, the price is going up. Okay. And again, to your point, there is a good rationale, but the price went up regardless. Okay. Here's another, I'm going to move on yet. Next, stay on that last page. Go back. Can you go back to, am I pushing that button? Okay. All right. So here's the other piece that got for 10% of all these positions. I've done a lot of contracts over the years with the school districts, Fresno Unified. Then in all of those cases, we didn't charge them for the police chief. We didn't charge them for the deputy chief. We didn't charge them for the captain or the lieutenant and their secretarial staff. We didn't charge for that. District, we don't charge for administrative staff. Yeah, we don't charge for that. That's just, you get that. It goes with the price tag. Yeah, we don't charge for secretarial staff. Or not, that's justifiable. I'm just telling you, this was what we were presented with. This document, that's what we were holding in our hand when we were having that conversation. Somebody at the county. Okay. I'm not here to, it came from the person responsible for charging us the bill. For billing us, otherwise we wouldn't be responding to it. Okay. And it was that person. But I don't want to throw out names. Sure, you can figure it out. And again, I'm not here to argue whether or not maybe that's a good point. Maybe they think, yeah, we're worth that. But it's also August of 2024. And that's when we started negotiating that same month. I was in that meeting, okay? So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this for context so that there's people that maybe didn't understand what caused us to get here now go, okay, now I get why Tony was meeting with the county. That's why. Because at the very least, we have a responsibility. They're worth it. Maybe they are. But now you can move on to the next page, Tony. And listen, the devil's in the details. It's always in the numbers. I can justify all kinds of things in a budget. Whether or not the other party wants to pay it or not, that's up to them, right? There's school districts that have chosen to go with their own police department. It happened in Clovis. Clovis Unified has their own police department now. Bakersfield has their own police department. At some point, they probably got tired of paying. It's okay to pay it too. You're right. Yeah, and that may be ultimately, yes, ma'am, absolutely. And I'm not here to argue the good or the bad. I'm here to give you context, okay? So you know why we're here. Well, I'm sorry for that. So I'm sorry that you went through that. I'm sorry that you went through that. That's what I'm saying. I'm just here to present you what's happened, okay? Okay. Okay. All right. But not everybody does know. So I'm going to continue and I'm almost done. So if I don't get interrupted anymore, I'll probably be done pretty fast. So now go to the May. The lady said in the back, it went from 3 people at the station down to 2, which is what it is now, by the way. It's 2. Staffing funds, but the total cost is still at 1.491. So that is still the cost. So the costs have been modified. That, as the lady pointed out in the back, that maybe because overhead that I told you that we were having concerns with, but they replaced it with another figure that's known as indirect cost. And that indirect cost is right here, 193. Okay, so it went from, what was it before, Tony? No. So the indirect cost went to 193 before it was 139 for the administrative cost. So it actually went up, even though they removed the people or the percentage of the people that replaced it with in their opinion, but that's still our cost. So right now we're at 1.491 for the year that we're in. So that's gone down from the figure that we initially had. But we weren't out just looking for controversy. We got here because the price went up, and it went up significantly. Well, I'm not going to argue for him. I mean, we were doing the negotiating with the county. Usually you don't do the negotiating out in public with another entity. You do that behind closed doors. I've done it lots of times with school districts and other entities and cities. The city of Sanger, one time, we provided them with police officers for several weeks, and we billed them for it. We didn't do that. That. All right, so moving on to this slide here. So what's happened is they now have reduced it to a 2-person station, not 3. The overtime went to 126. The administrative amount, as I pointed out earlier, went to 193. It actually went up. And anybody have their own businesses here understands what I may be talking about, the difference between a projected budget and an actual budget. What I know from being responsible for police budgets is I always make a projected budget, and then at the end of the year, I have an actual. Always, always. Why? Because you're not officers, and I hovered around 50. Okay. So you have all that salary savings. It's a lot cheaper to pay overtime than it is to be full. Why? Because you got to pay for fringe benefits, retirement, and all the stuff that goes with it. That's just the way it is. I balance my budget every year in Fresno. Every year, $165 million. I always balanced it. You know how I balanced it? With salary savings. And what I found out from my city manager, Bruce Rudd, for many years, was that when I had that salary savings, I didn't get to so he could spend it based on the needs of the city. He used to tick me off because I'd save all this money on salary. And I think, well, why can't I just spend it on new police cars and police things? Well, he would tell me because it was never your money to begin with, Deputy Chief. It was always mine. I just lent it to you for a fiscal year. I'm going to decide how to spend this money. There will always be salary savings in a public safety budget. Always. Right now, the county has 100% control over how they spend that salary savings. Not us. We give that control over to the county. So when I argued in there, why do we pay the projected budget and not the actual? Well, that's just the way we want to do it. Okay, well, that's fine. I mean, that's your budget. You can decide how you want to bill us. I'm just telling you that I know there's always going to be salary savings. Always. Control. That's what it's about. It's about control over who has control over those figures. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to go through this quick. Tony already went through it. $606. It's going to keep going up. And they said that when we were in negotiations. We know it's always going to go up. And it's going to go up based on what is paid to employees down the road. We know that. So we're giving up control when we let another organization run some form of public safety. Okay, we lose that control. Next one, Tony, please. So in summary, I've already alluded to a lot of this, but I'll just wrap it up by telling you it's a lot about control for us. Other agencies, we'll get into this in the next segment a little bit more. I know it came out that we were going to do a how many professional full-time and no, we have always planned on having a battalion chief and a chief, always from the very beginning. Well, I don't know where you heard that, but that was never the plan. Oh, well, it was okay. It was never going to be all volunteer. I understand. There's been other agencies that have operated some form of volunteer fire department, many throughout the county. They're coming up with a plan gives us more control over our funds, your funds, doesn't belong to us, and emergency response tailored to our needs, and something that's geared more towards a long-term solution over the next 10, 20, 30 years. All right. Okay. Okay. Oh, well, there's no guarantee. Nope, I can't guarantee that. Hell, I can't guarantee I'm going to be here in 5 years. Lord willing, I live longer than 65, but who knows? I can't make no guarantees. So anyway, and we're not taking questions right now, guys. We're going to take questions at the end, okay? So the cost per resident, Firebaugh, about $40 per resident. Reedley, 25, Lemoore, 37. You guys can read it. Coalinga, they're at 224. Hanford is 118. And then currently we're at 65, 66. That's the budget we're in right now, but before we bought the new contract. But it went up to 114 and 84 cents. So those are the numbers, okay? Again, I'm not here to you. Okay.
All right. All right. So as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be hearing from our public safety advisors. So the next one we do have Fireball Fire Department. He'll speak a little bit about how we kind of came to meet him through our connections and networks with other cities. You know, we want to be somewhere more appropriate for the size of our population and to
Good evening. My name is Hector Moran. I'm a battalion chief for the city of Fireball Fire Department. I've been involved with that fire department for 20 years. Out of the 20 years, I was involved in 4 years as a cadet. That's how I came about to choose a career in fire. A cadet is a high school student and being involved in the fire department that starts getting trained on what a day-to-day operation. From my 9th to my senior year. After my senior year, through my training. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't easy. But my 4 years of training made the academy seem a little easier. Academy was about 6 months. After I graduated from the fire academy, was pregnant with a child, and being old-fashioned, my priorities changed. Chemical industry while volunteering at the city of Fireball. I continued to help mentor the cadet program, help the young kids develop the love for it. I've always, even today, I have full control of the cadet program, and I hold them volunteering as they wish. So 4 years as a cadet and 16 as a member. Mhm.
Yeah.
I continue my training, if that's what you're trying to ask. I continue.
Guys have a lot of questions. I think a lot of other people also have questions. So out of respect to everybody, as we have done at other meetings, I would ask that you please hold your questions. Please allow our presenters to speak. Through with the presentation, and we're not going to have allow time for everyone else to ask their questions as well.
Years old. Our establishment was back in 1920, and even then, it was established as a volunteer department. So it's a continued volunteer department. Within our department, we have mutual and automatic aid with Fresno County and Madera County. You know, we respond to city of Mendota where they wish for us to respond, and Madera also. Because for those that don't know where Fireball is at, there's a river that runs right through where you cross the river. We a couple of weeks ago, I was asked to come by and present what our fire department is about to the local Avenal residents. I showed pictures of our department, our association. We're family oriented. We continue to tracks. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much what I got so far. um, I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Anthony, City Manager Anthony. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right, so now Tony started the meeting by saying there's four options, okay? And here's the four options that we have. And again, I'm not up here advocating for any of them. I'm just telling you these are the options. Option A would be the Avenal Police Department made up of 2 admin and 20 volunteer-based members. Ballpark would be about $350,000 a year, okay? It'd take about 6 to 12 months to get it up and on. Professionally trained members. Take 3 to 6 months to set up. We know that there's a lot of heavy lifting that goes along with creating a professional fire department. I'm not dumb enough to think you just snap your fingers and make it happen. It's going to take time. This county fire department, as we currently are, we're already in it, and we're going to be close to 1.5 million. Contracted crews, that was way too expensive, 4.3 million per year, but that would still take 3 to 6 months to set up, right? Because that's going to take time to implement. employees, five firefighters, and 2 reserve firefighters, total of 15 certified and paid firefighters, 15 total. Tony, okay, which is this mine?
Yeah, so thank you, Bob. So in discussing kind of what the models that we could look at and what would be more feasible for our community, we obviously messages from a lot of you discussing how you feel that all volunteer, although that was never what was intended to be stipulated as. You can look at the letter. You can look at the letter. It doesn't say all volunteer. That's okay. But I will say, obviously, we're listening. I've said this. I've asked everybody to keep an open mind as we've been looking at all options. That's something the mayor has referenced. So one of the models that we've worked on with our consultant is looking at, how can we staff it with, and not just borrowing the same model, but what fits best for our community. So what we came up with was a model that would have 3 watches where they would be alternating 8-hour shifts. We would be able to have at least 3, if not 4, fully certified. Week we'd have 3. That's just the firefighters. We would also have the administrators who would be the chief and the battalion chief. They would be here also alternating and overlapping on certain days, again, to have more coverage and more oversight for this community. Part of why we've been looking at this model is that we would like to see a little more involvement, a little more activity, just like we did when we They do a lot of different activities. We do Santa on Patrol over Christmas. They do a teddy bear drive. These are things that, not again, full respect to the current firefighters we have now, but we'd like to work towards something that we could have homegrown folks being part of our public safety. I'm proud to say we have 4 officers who live in town, 5 staff members total. That's something that's what we're working towards. Referring back to our survey, people want to see more opportunities for our youth. They want to see more pathways, and this is one of those pathways. We do have our Explorers program through our police. Somewhere, and this is why we've been looking at these models. Let me see if this will move to the next slide. So as we continued looking at this, this is a non-traditional staffing and shifts. We understand that. The hope would be over time, we would go towards a 48-96 schedule. We would gradually build up this department to be just into having a union be part of this. So this is at least what we've been looking at, what we know and feel confidently is viable for Avenal. As we open up, we'd have staff who could then also assist with weed abatement. They could assist helping out installing smoke detectors for our elderly, doing a lot of different programs and activities, again, with our community. Right. So as we looked at this, we've done our homework and we've been looking, okay, what does for these positions of a captain, an engineer, a firefighter, and a reserve. Kings County does happen to have one of the lower ranging salaries, so we try to gauge it at the middle. To about 700,000. Adding to it, non-personnel items, supplies, maintenance, utilities. The idea would be to utilize existing infrastructure that we already have. We do have the Ken Brown Safety Center. It's not called the PD, it's called the Ken Brown Safety Center, because even 15 years ago when it was rebranded, the idea is that maybe in the future this would host other public safety agencies. Total cost, as Bob mentioned, about $852,000. You know, as we compare this to what the county is charging us, and no fault of their own, they are a larger agency. But they do have a lot of overhead, as we mentioned. The indirect costs, the overtime, those are things that we would hope not to have to deal with. We would be able to save money. That's half the cost right there. So as we look at it, you know, when you're renting a house, you're renting an apartment, and they raise the rent on you, what are you going to do? Your natural next step is to look at, you know, maybe I need to buy, maybe where can I rent, or a mortgage payment is a lot cheaper than rent in most cases, especially today. And that's exactly what we were looking at. So he told us 5% over the next 10 years or the next 3 years. We're trying to project even farther out than that. This is not even including any COLAs, salary adjustments that would happen. Over time, we'd end up paying in 10 years over 18 million. You know, grow our own talent, give opportunities to our youth. We know that we'd be able to save over 7 million, close to 8 million. And that's the whole argument here. Youth to be part of our community, to patrol ourselves. That's the whole point of it even becoming a city. As we've taken our time exploring it, talking to other agencies, looking at the models, seeing what is actually feasible, what the timelines may look like, you know, I'm recommending to the council to look at option B, you know, because that is something that's feasible, viable right now. You know, they become, well, close to 2 million. Then it'll jump up to maybe 3 million. Again, no fault of their own. More coverage. The idea would be to have 2 crews. We'd hope to eventually build up and have volunteers to staff all these shifts. Trained more, they could then take the paid positions. You know, that was a model we looked at. Again, I'll say we started it backwards. We were hoping to have top positions paid and have volunteers, train them up, and then potentially over time have them as paid full time. We're going to start a little backwards, where instead, you know, we would have paid positions. Many people are interested in wanting to become firefighters, and we should give them that opportunity. They should be able to serve their community. I'm proud to be able to serve my community now, and that's the opportunities that we need to be able to share with others. So forward, and also looking at the viability of the would be a big piece of that are equipment. So as we in a type 3, and then anything else would be extra. But if we're able to align these pieces of equipment, then we would be adding more to not just Avenal, but also the county. We would hope to be able to assist Kings County, you know, CAL FIRE, and our other agencies, Kalinga, Huron, assisting them through mutual aid. We'd hope to then also be able to get grants to cover future equipment needs. And I'll add this, going back to the budgets with the county, they give us no credit if they are getting any grants. We get no credit if the Station 12 save money getting grants for new equipment, possible spaces, likewise through mutual aid, lending out equipment. Again, I asked you not to be interrupting. If not, I will ask you to leave. Okay? So looking at what apparatuses are viable, this is some of the stuff we've been looking at, a type 1, a type 3, even a type 6, a ladder truck, they call it quint, and a water tender. For $447,000. To know how viable, again, all this could be. And these would be refurbished equipment, comes with a warranty, something to get us off the ground, be able to start. And then another location with a lot of brush everywhere. One concern would be, large brush fires. And one thing, and I know the fires recently over on 33 and 41, Kings County was able to get a bulldozer. So looking at that too, our partners at Waste Connections, they already to lend us a bulldozer. And that's, again, another piece of equipment that helps us provide I know, Bob, if you want to give this one. Where'd you go, Bob? Yeah. Add it back to Bob real quick.
Rationale for the city manager's recommendation is Avenal is capable and structured to create its own fire department. There's no other priority. Doing it safely is the priority. As I said, financially, we keep local control with regards to our reports and transparency. Savings of nearly 8 million over 10 years based on our initial projections. That includes our budget compared with the county's budget. We had a prior for 15 years. And I think there was a lot of consternation over it. But, here we are 15 years later. And ultimately, as I've said, end up deciding to do. It's ultimately up to the city how they decide to keep their residents safe. And then local employment opportunities, as Tony
So other considerations, and I know these have been some of the questions that we've been hearing. Coverage and rates. That's not necessarily true. Rates are already going up. They already were approved by the state. That's not something that we control. Rate at current. If there was a change, we would not allow it to happen. That we would not want to see any lower coverage. If anything, we'd want to have more coverage. And that would not negatively impact insurance rates. We are speaking to ISO. We're learning what the things that they are looking for. There's a whole point why if we moved in this direction, we want to have more than just the basic equipment. We want to be able to cover other needs and necessities. While a ladder truck is definitely a plus, we don't have many buildings over 2 stories. But it is something that can assist, maybe able to assist something at the prison, something that, again, adds more coverage than what we need. Our firefighters would be able to respond to medical aid. Absolutely. That'd be something we'd require that they have their EMT, and at the very basic, that they would all be certified to handle medical emergencies. That is a given, 100%. And then again, we do have a lot of local stakeholder support. I know the mayor has been speaking to our elected officials just to try to see, if there's support in this. Our assemblywoman and our senator, they're more than happy support Avenal in any direction that it goes. And if it so happens to create its fire department, would work vigorously to try to find funding to help us, again, procure. So in talking closing and next steps, there we go. We're going to continue with Kings County Fire. We already said that before. Still in contract negotiations at this time, but that's still going to continue. There would not be any gap in service. Like I said at the top, there would not be a day where there's not professional firefighters protecting Avenal. If things start moving in the direction of a department, there would need to be a ordinance to get that going to then actually start filling in the structure of a fire department. And if that does happen, there would not be a first fire watch until everything is fully staffed, until we have the equipment, and until the fire chief states that the department would be ready. Again, this happened 15 years ago. The police department was established in the municipal code in March of 2010, and police had their first watch November 11th of 2010 as well. So it's not something, it's something the city has done before, and we've been down this path. So as I mentioned, we're hoping to end this before 8:30. We will have time for questions. Questions already? Okay. We will be prioritizing those from Avenal. Again, we haven't had an opportunity to really dialogue with the community. I know at the council meetings, there's been elected officials, there's been other folks discussing and kind of having their questions. There hasn't been a good opportunity to kind of have a dialogue with the staff for the council to hear and just hear out what your questions may be, what answers we can provide. And if we don't have them today, we'll have them by next week. But I'm hoping we do have most of them. I know this is a lot of new information for people, so there may be a lot of questions. You want to do more research, and that's good. We need to ensure that we take this process seriously, that we do take everyone's questions, and we work to address each of them. If there's something we're missing that we're not even aware of, then let's work on it together. There's no reason why we can't make this happen. As I mentioned, this is our home. This is my home. I don't want to do something, I don't want to see something that's going to cause division, that's going to cause, turmoil, put safety at risk. We've many times that there's been some difficulties. We don't have the property sizes that these corporations would like to see. We have some property owners who may be unwilling to sell at a reasonable price. More attractive, so they do want to pay those prices, so they do want to develop here. But part of that is that we need to stick together. We need to be working and not fighting. And I understand there's still a lot of concerns and a lot of questions, and that's fine. But we're going to be addressing them. We're going to work through this. We're going to work through it together. So before I do open it up for questions, though, I do know that our city attorney would like to just clarify a few things. Some of the questions that have been recurring at our council meeting, some of the things that have been stated.
Hi, good evening. My name is Moses Diaz. I'm the city attorney here. First started working with Avenal back in 2008. So was here when the fire department was established. I do recall when that first went online. The police department, correct. Um, so yeah, questions around the process here, lack of transparency, that's kind of been discussed earlier by the city manager. Whether or not there have been other meetings. The big problem is with the city council meetings, it's been tough to work with staff behind the scenes to answer legal questions, to figure out how to navigate legally, procedurally, what the different steps are. I've always known that there's been a plan to have town halls exactly like this one. It was just really more an issue of the timing. And so I'm glad the time has come. More town halls are planned. And, we've had the council meetings again, but there's going to be, that's not necessarily the best opportunity to get feedback. This is kind of a better setting for that because it's focused just on one topic, this issue. Some questions have arisen about the legal authority for people at City Hall to proceed to investigate these options. As the attorney, I'm under state bar rules. I can't tell you everything that's communicated to me because it's privileged and I have to operate under those rules. But what I can tell you is there is legal authority in the Avenal Municipal Code for the city manager and other department. It's been in place for a long time. It's Title III, Chapter 8, if you're interested. Municipal code is online, city's website, you can access that. And so there is legal authority for certain expenditures up to a certain limit. I think the maximum would be 40,000 for certain equipment, goods, supplies. 5,000 is the cap for other goods and services without bidding. So in regard to the agreement from the county, and this is, it's on me. I've been on vacation with my family. I was out of vacation. My first day back at the office was not until this past Monday. I have not had a chance to fully get through the latest draft from the county. More protections for the city of Avenal, for example, covering topics such as backup coverage, incident tracking, more detailed monthly activity reports, reports specific to incidents in Avenal, such as structure fire reports, so we can have more information, more data to bring back to the community. I've worked with a lot of jurisdictions over the years. I've been practicing law over 2 decades. I'm city attorney of some other at another jurisdiction. I've also worked as deputy county counsel in Tulare. I have a lot of experience in public agency law. I've worked with a lot of officials, and I can tell you one thing: I've seen certain agencies where the act together. I'll tell you right now, this is not one of those situations. The people that work here in Avenal are working for you. They're trying to save you money, and they're definitely not going to compromise your public safety. I can assure you that they're working hard. Ideal, but I think you'll find that people are really working for your best interest. So I'm going to turn it over to our city manager. I know there's a Q&A period coming up, but that's all I have for now.
Thank you very much.
Bueno, buenas noches, soy Leticia Luna. Yo nada más quiero hacer una pregunta. ¿Por qué? Gracias y ojalá que nuestros representantes, no, lado de la ciudad se trata de que ustedes como representantes de nosotros tomen las mejores decisiones para la comunidad que estamos aquí, de parte residentes, ciudadanos y emigrantes. Queremos pertenecer a esta gran nación que es Estados Unidos y también nuestras raíces que somos mexicanos. Y otra cosa, que Dios los bendiga a todos, a ustedes y a todos, y que no se trata de si estamos de un lado o del otro. Queremos lo mejor para Avenal, que viva Avenal. Gracias. ¿Tu nombre otra vez? ¿Permita? ¿Tu nombre de nuevo? Mi nombre. Avenal y quiero seguir siendo parte de él. Gracias.
Charging us such a high price? That's my question, and I really hope that our represent. It's not about who we're against or who we're for. We are all here hoping that as our representatives, you take the best decisions for the community, because we are all here as residents, as citizens, and as immigrants, because we just want to be a part of here. We want to be a part of this great. All of us were Mexicans, everyone who's here, and I really just want to go ahead and say thank you to you. Bless each and every single one of you. It's not to say that we're on one side or the other side. I just really want what's best for Avenal. Long live Avenal. And then the last part was that her name is Leticia Luna, and she has been here in Avenal, and she just wants to continue to.
Gracias. To answer that question, yeah, go ahead. Just very briefly, I know, and I give credit to the county. I know that they have a very tough budget to manage. They had a year without a fire chief, at least for the past year, which did make negotiations a little difficult, just to not know all the pieces, getting all our answers efficiently responded to. They did. Again, I'm giving them credit. And as Bob said, to the point where it's budgets, it's negotiations, it's business. We know that that's something that for the county, they do see that, they'd like the city to pay the full price now. Totally understandable, but then the city has to see, is this something that's reasonable that we can actually manage?
Next will be Luther.
Okay, you guys just showed all this. Why was this done in the first place?
Is that all the question?
No, another one. This is for the mayor, what he said last meeting, that my tax dollars, we don't commit to this service. Yes, I do. I do buy stuff in this town. Just like everybody else does. I didn't appreciate him last city council meeting saying that we didn't commit to this town as people. But you guys want to sit up here and say you guys want to, I don't know what that word, still see, I think I'm saying it wrong, Anthony. Yes, there you go. Thank you. That's all I got to say.
Of course. Thank you, Luther. I'll answer real quick, Angie. Hold on. So totally understandable, Luther, and I can appreciate and understand the energy, the concern, and the frustration. I get it. I think I will say this in terms of why we didn't present all this to begin with, was that we were hoping that we would get a different outcome, at least in terms of pricing with the county. You know, they told us, let's negotiate. They did bring it down 100,000, but just looking at it, the comparisons, it just became more difficult to see how can we reasonably pay this long term. We're not saying they're not worth it. It's just we were hoping that maybe we could have a little bit of a different escalator. You know, from 450 to now what, over $1 million just from the general fund it is a lot. Anyone would have to ask and think twice about what we're gonna do moving forward. And in terms of comments made at the council meeting and other comments that have been made, that's why I mentioned I don't want to see our community fighting. I don't want to see us be divided on this. We do need to, you know, hopefully, you know, relax for a little bit. You know, I'm always open to discuss. My office is open. Few of you have called me. Few of you have texted me. Yes, on Facebook Messenger, probably not the best way to get a hold of me. It does take me a while. I got kind of inundated by notification, but if you call or text me, I will answer. I will say that. And if I haven't, then please tell me and I'll get on it. But more than willing to discuss it further with you. You know, this is what we're looking at, and you guys will take your time and kind of look at it and be like, well, maybe this is better. Maybe, you know what, that's still not good enough for me. That's fair. Then let's figure out how we could make it better.
Rita Wallace.
You hit the head with it.
Sorry.
I'll agree with Luther. You should have started out with that first, because that way we would have known. But we was just told you're shutting down the fire department. No, you can't do that. And I don't care, that guy right there, he said he took. Good.
I'll take the blame for it.
Volunteer firemen, but let's keep the fire department here until that all goes down. Cause like I told you the last one, it might be your own life you're saving if you don't keep them here.
And I will take the blame for that, for how it's come out, how maybe not everything we could explain at the moment. I'll take the blame for that.
Delila Barajas. It's got low. How do you keep it up? I'm sorry. Right there? Okay, cool. Okay, I hate giving my back to people. I think that's rude. Okay, here we go. Okay. So, okay, I'm just gonna wing this one because I did have a speech. I talked and I've been looking and I've been searching and I've been going everywhere trying to the volunteer police department over in Lemoore. Oh, the fire department. Thank you. Trying to say something and you guys are trying to, and I'm sorry for using this word, but bully your way over there. It's a bullying way. It is bullying. So a lot of people agree with me. A lot of people can't be wrong. So I've been looking at it and I talked to them and then they told me the following. Avenal is out of their mind thinking they're going to start this one up, a volunteer fire department. That's their words, not mine. And if you want to call her up and find out if that's the truth, you can. You're more than welcome to. I don't have to lie. Another thing, they told me that they pay $700,000 for even having an all-volunteer fire department. Why we're being charged these numbers, I have no idea. But I really think that the numbers are being a little bit exploited, so we can get scared and not move forward with keeping our fire department. So don't be afraid. Instead, what I need you guys to do is start calling the fire departments that are all volunteer and start finding out for yourself what those numbers look like. But 40. Yeah, okay. It's $1 million, $998,000 to get one fire truck. Okay, I've been researching for everybody here, okay? So this is what I'm doing right now. I read your letter of resend. Thank you for resending the letter. I appreciate that. But I really do think that it was a very sorry attempt because it's still telling me, and you guys proved it today, that you guys are still gonna move forward doing whatever you want on putting on a my next part. Today, I took the time to go all the way to Hanford. I picked up a couple of forms. They're complaint forms they're gonna be directed to the jury. I got 6 different petitions, and the reason I got 6 petitions is because I want this to stick. I want 3 of those petitions to be for an audit for the police department, and then I want the other 3 to be an audit for the city hall. We need people who know what's going on in city hall, and who know what's going up in the police department to come up and give your signature, because you guys are gonna be testifying, probably in front of the grand jury, to what's going on here in our city. Another thing, the only reason I haven't contacted any of you to sign my paperwork is because finally today, I got the elections department to tell me that I could go ahead, and nothing personal, guys. Nothing personal, okay? And I hope you understand that it's not. It's not a question, it's a statement.
So Delilah, we're
So,
gonna
yes.
running over time.
So let me,
3 minutes.
I'm gonna finish it. So today, the elections department approved my petition for recall on 4 of the city council members. Tomorrow, I'm gonna be getting the copies, and I'm gonna be. Thank you. Teresa Pierre?
Angie, you gotta wait for me to answer a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. So thank you, Delilah, for that. So what I will say just very quickly. Throw that around. Oh, we don't have the. And those have been the numbers. It's okay. Thank you, Ms. Wynn. And in terms of the equipment that the things for looking at older equipment is anything new takes at least 2 years. Any new equipment, new apparatuses. And then alongside that is all the emissions control and issues that can come along with that. So looking at older equipment. So they do get exemptions, but since they don't have to have the DEF fluid, they don't have to have the PM filters, it does make their maintenance a lot easier. There is an exemption for emergency service vehicles. Okay, go ahead, Angie.
Teresa Pierre.
But then after listening to the presentation, I specifically asked Mr. Mayor, at the last meeting, What exactly did you mean when you referenced us as a certain group of people and then followed it by that we don't contribute, that it was, I just want you to have the opportunity because he mentioned a town divided and I felt very divided at that moment. And I just want you to have the opportunity to explain that, but quickly because I have a couple of other questions. I don't know about anybody else, but I was offended by it. It hurt my feelings. And it was just wrong. And you outright said that we didn't matter, that it was the field workers that contribute. I'm not sure, maybe I can help you answer. Did you mean homeowners, taxpayers? Did you mean homeowners and taxpayers and your side here tonight to actually make a decisive decision this time? Or are you just going to continue to ignore this certain group of people? I'm doing this for you because
I,
my
I-
feelings were hurt.
I would like to clarify what I said. You guys been saying to give the $1 million, the Measure A is bringing into the city of Avenal. What I said is, you or somebody mentioned that haven't met me, never spoken to me until the last Monday meeting. And that's what I said. There's a certain group of people that are saying, give the $1 million to Kings County for the fire contract. So let me finish, please. Let me finish. So when it comes to local shopping, that's what's bringing the $1 million to the city of Avenal. Buying your shoes, your belt, your pants, your shirt, buying locally, going to a restaurant, going to Amigo Market, going to a TNT Market, going to the laundromat, that's what is bringing.
He doesn't know where we go because he's in Harris Ranch having lunch.
So this is what it brings, this is what is bringing $1 million to the city of Avenal.
Oh.
And for you guys to say, give it all to the
guys.
county, that is not fair. We do have 20+ projects that are gonna need that tax revenues. And who is shopping, who's contributing? So let's be fair, let's listen to the whole community and make a
Okay, the whole
decision.
community is
The whole
here.
community. Well, no.
Again, not again, still the wrong kind of
I'm not gonna
community.
argue, I just wanna make my point. $1 million, $1 million of Measure A is from people who buy local, who are paying 1 extra cent in Arsenal, okay? And that's,
Another question, because he doesn't have the correct answer, is the consultant a paid consultant? Or is he just here volunteering, just happen, to just come? And then I know there's some things that were done incorrectly. No, that was since rescinded, said that we were going to leave them in August. So how is all this going to happen? And if we do get professional firemen, so your plan B, those professional firemen would be not of this town. They would be coming from a fire department or a fire academy. And then when positions, would they be fired then, like we fired the Kings County, who has basically given us welfare for years? And the moment they ask for us to pay a bigger portion, we're getting rid of them. So do we want to be self-sufficient, or do we want just that handout and that continued welfare? Thank you. I know I used a lot of time.
Keep it.
County
So
Supervisor Valley would
again,
like to
not trying
speak.
to cause or create
County
more
Supervisor Valley would
of
like
these
to
issues.
speak.
And the timeline, the ideas and everything, you can go back to that letter, never said all volunteer, and it said going on a month to month as this was developed. And again, You mentioned it yourself. Yeah, we that up into something where it would be community members. If you can't get behind that, if you can't get behind investing money locally, keeping it locally, training up our youth, I get it. Some of you have told me that you've grown more cynical over time about and less hopeful about what this community can do. Perhaps because I am younger, perhaps because my family does live here. I am hopeful. I see a lot of promise and opportunity in the people we have here. So we do an internship program. We've been doing an internship program for 4 years. We're enticing our community members, our youth, instead of moving away, to come back and contribute back. And that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Hello, good evening. Can I get 30 seconds? Is
Ted
Supervisor?
Wolk.
Just the letter that was sent by goal is to launch the city's volunteer fire department by August 1, 2025. That's what it says. I don't understand how you're saying that.
So I know you were here since 2009, correct? 2010?
What does that have to do with this?
I referenced it earlier in regards to the police department. Police department was established March of 2010, didn't have its first watch until November.
You just said, though, that you didn't say in the letter that you're going to start by August 1st.
No.
That's
the-
what you just
The
said.
correction has been.
You just said that wasn't what it said, but that's exactly
No,
what
it
it said.
said, does it say all volunteer? Please
It
point,
said,
please point out where it says
yes.
volunteer.
Tony, the first line. On behalf of the city of Avenal, which also leads to another question. How is this on behalf of the city when city council didn't vote to actually allow you to start to explore a volunteer fire department? That was the point of on behalf of the city of Avenal, I write to formally notify you of the city's intent to establish our own volunteer fire department. That's what it says. How are we supposed to understand that to mean anything else? Except for what it says, Tony. I don't understand. This is what I said at the city council. I don't understand. This decision was not made lightly, you wrote. Who made the decision? Who made the decision? When did city council talk about this? You said, let me get my notes here. You said tonight, city council requested exploration for fire services. When did this happen? Was it in closed session? Did council know that this letter had been sent on May 16th? Are there city council members here tonight? Did they know that the letter had been sent? They were aware that the letter had been sent. So when was this decided?
What's the question?
When was it decided to send the letter? You said city council gave you permission to send a letter to the county. When was that decided? When did they give you authorization to do that?
So as a city attorney did mention, there are some things that can't be fully disclosed.
Why not? So what you're saying is,
So Pastor Welk, your time is up. I will answer your questions. Okay. You asked about it being volunteer. We've talked about other models.
that's
that
not the
have-
question
that
right
have
now.
paid-
That's not the question.
Going back,
When did the city give you?
There are, the Brown Act contains exemptions from open session for threats to public services. That includes fire services. There are certain discussions that can take place and regarding fire services that cannot be disclosed here without a vote from the city council. So
How,
I don't
how is,
recall the
how is
date.
that?
I don't recall the date, but
You don't recall the date?
here's the point. The point is that letter has been received. Anything that's going on here today. What's the point of arguing about it here?
The letter was sent, though. That's
These
the
people-
point. The letter was sent.
Okay, what's the point with that? Why does that matter? It's over with.
Here's,
It doesn't say it doesn't say an all volunteer department. It says a department.
it says,
Pastor Walk, do you mind? This is Supervisor Richard Valley. Do you mind if I get some of your time? I think I can clear.
politicians. We just read it as it says plainly.
Look, the point is people are over reading into it and clarifications have been made.
That's what it says. We're just
It doesn't
reading what it
say
says.
all.
Your microphone is muted.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
Thank
It says
you.
volunteer.
That's all. That's all.
Okay, forget.
Yeah, right, yes.
So that's okay.
Okay.
Let's look
Just-
at another piece.
Forget the May 16th letter. Let's look at the press release from May 19th. The city of Avenal is moving forward with the creation of its own volunteer fire department. Press release, May 19th, a decision shaped by careful planning and a focus on local priorities. Okay, so it doesn't say all volunteer, but it still says what we're hearing tonight and what we heard at the last council meeting.
Volunteer, you can have your own fire department with a volunteer fire department as well to contract.
You know, I'd actually like to hear from elected officials on this instead of the city lawyer too.
But just to
good-
clarify, there's
good evening,
multiple ways
Pastor
to
Watt.
interpret that. That's all my point. And when you only interpret it one way and after clarifications have been made, you know, if you don't want clarification and you want to keep dwelling on the prior draft, which maybe was not as clear as it could have been, you know, we're never going to get anywhere, you know?
Pastor Walk, this is Supervisor Richard Valley. Could I get a little bit of your time?
Council meeting on the 12th.
He's been another one of our local friends helping us to figure out how to. No, he's not been paid. He's not paid.
I was just wondering if you were aware that he's been
Everyone keeps
presenting.
yelling at once. Yes, he is contracted consultant. Only he has been paid. Obviously, we've been discussing and talking to other cities, talking to other fire departments, as I mentioned in the presentation.
Has the city hired the fire chief or battalion chief yet?
No, there's
No?
no department.
I was wondering if you're aware that Mr. Valise is identifying himself as the battalion chief.
This is terrible.
Private company, I believe that is the title he has.
So when he went to see Mr. Scott Dinkins from Okies Towing and Auto Repair in us, you're saying?
Along with Hector, along with other agencies, we've been requesting to see who has surplus equipment, what equipment we could find.
He called himself the battalion.
Again,
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your patience.
Mr. Ron Moran.
Hey, this is Supervisor Richard Valley. Are you going to be able to recognize me? I'd like to say a few words.
Thank you. And I want to thank everybody. Again, our city staff thanks you and our council, but you know, I want to thank as a citizen of Avenel, I live at 801 North Fifth. My name is Ron Moran, had the lumber yard and hardware store here for many years. And my decision was Avenal is home, and it's home to all of us. You know, so thank you for all of you guys. Every couple simple, quick questions. One, how many active volunteer firefighters, volunteer firemen do we have right now in the city of Avenal?
That I'm aware of, none. We do have, in the interest, we do have someone who's gained their
Our county fire guys who have served us for decades. And seen, whether it's a fire, whether it's an accident, whether it's a medical aid, they're absolutely the first ones there all the time. And these guys, these men and women, I tell you, they've just done us a job that's just bar none, and they're very, very professional. It's just I know that we can, and maybe they can shake their head yes or no. Anybody can go down to the county right now and sign up as a volunteer fireman and work with the county, right? Okay, that's a yes. Okay, and now we don't see. Are those volunteer firefighters, or those are full-time, fully paid, fully benefited firefighters for $850,000 a year? Yeah, I just don't think that can be done. And the equipment, some of the numbers we've been getting, $125,000 just to outfit an engine with some of the basic things. Talking to some, you're going to pay at least $500,000 for a 20-year-old engine. And, you know, going out and buying used equipment and doing it this way, there's no way that can match the professionalism that we have. Getting back into town today, I was out for just a little bit, came back into town. There was a fire just outside of town, actually a couple of fires. And those fires, you know, it's amazing because what we see is we see our volunteer, or not our volunteers, our paid firefighters who are here 24/7. 365 days a year. And these guys and men and women, as soon as they leave and they roll out on a fire, the amount of response that there is incredible. We go and they're on it right away. And I can't even imagine that there would be a network in place for our city to have its own private firefighters that gives us right now what we have with all of our professionals and what county fire gives us. Because when a unit rolls out of our station, there's another station that comes in and covers our station. And I know we're saying mutual aid, but one of the things that really concerns me is the assistant chief was mentioning it, that our priority was.
We are running out of time.
Okay, was the budget and you know, our funds, and we understand that everything goes up. Nobody wants to pay for insurance and it constantly goes up. But the thing of it is our safety, all of our safety and our family safety, our homes, our properties, and our safety is the most important thing we have. Thank you.
Good evening, Supervisor Richard Valley. Could I
Ms.
get a
Rosa
minute to be
Moreno?
recognized? Good evening, Supervisor Richard Valley, trying to be recognized.
The thing of it is our safety, all of our safety and our family safety.
Supervisor Valley
Mi
would
nombre
like
es
to
Rosa Moreno.
speak.
Yo vivo aquí desde el 2003 en Avenal. Mi pregunta, bueno, tenía un comentario y dos preguntas para nuestro representante, pero como no lo miro aquí, lo voy a guardar para la siguiente junta. Nuestro representante Richard Valle, que dijo que iba a estar aquí, y había puesto unos comentarios en el Facebook y también dijo que iba a hacer una junta para nuestra comunidad que le importa mucho el bienestar de Avenal y pues les agradecemos, ¿verdad? Porque pues quién? Richard. ¿Y su nombre de nuevo? Rosa Moreno. Rosa Moreno. Hello, everyone. My name is Rosa Moreno, and my comments were, or my question more than anything, those comments till the next meeting, specifically because he had said he was going to be here, and he put a couple of comments on Facebook, and that he was also going to be here having a meeting or being at this meeting. And he said that he really cares about Avenal and that that's why he was going to be here. So I'm really glad that he has our well-being in mind. But because he isn't here, I'm going to go ahead and save my comments and questions for when he
Él está escuchando todo.
Alberto Reynoso.
Sí, mi nombre es Alberto Reynosa Contreras, tengo 35 años radicando aquí en Avenal, gracias a Dios y a ustedes. Yo vengo a agradecerles más que nada al Departamento de Bomberos, porque tenemos un nieto de 9 años con diabetes, le hemos marcado al 911 y llegan rapidísimo. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alfredo Reynosa Contreras, and I've been living here in Avenal for 35 years. Want to go ahead and say thanks to God, but more than anything, also to say thank you to our fire department, because we have a grandchild that is 9 years old and he has diabetes. And every single time that we call 911, they have been there and they get there super, super fast. Thank you.
Elías Cabrera.
No.
Go ahead and keep talking. I guess till they go.
Okay, well, can we bring the presentation back up, Anthony?
Hey, the Zoom link isn't working. Is it okay if I?
You're on, sir.
Good evening, this is Supervisor Richard Valley. Can you hear me okay? Yes, so all I want to say is this, is that in speaking with the mayor last week, we both talked and we agreed that tonight was going to be an opportunity for the council to talk to you. So the chairman, Supervisor Doug, we purposefully stayed away tonight to allow the council to have the conversation on one condition. And Mr. Mayor, you gave me your word that the county would not be thrown under the bus tonight. But I'm listening to your city manager say the same things. Two things here. One, that you're still acting like you're surprised on the cost of the bill when I've helped you out for years to keep the price of that bill below the million. And you promised that you would meet that the cost of that fire contract once you pass Measure A. The second thing, it hurts me to sit here and listen to the go asking about the letter and hearing you guys backtrack from the letter and your lawyer saying that that wasn't the intention. Mr. Mayor, since you and the city manager are answering questions on the spot, why don't you respond to this? Did you and the city manager not call me days before, a few days before you released the letter, and told me that you guys were going to an all-volunteer fire department? tell me that that is not the truth. If you're going to have a town hall like this, be honest with the people, because I'm not here to be against you. I've said that the last 2 city council meetings, but I'm not going to sit here and let you guys lie to the people that I represent as well. You know the intention of the letter. You know the phone call prior to the letter with me. Don't backtrack from that. Be honest with the people. Thank you.
So I'll answer very briefly. The mayor has mentioned it in the council meetings. It's been mentioned when we met that excuse me, let's not be rude. We've mentioned since the beginning and in the first negotiations that Avenal would be looking at all options. Mayor has repeated this at multiple meetings. In terms of the call, in terms of the letter, in terms of everything else that's been presented, when the city did do the press release and did a call for volunteers, it also did a frequently asked questions. And right away in the first staff report that was back in May, it included the structure for a paid chief, paid battalion chief, and stipends for the volunteers. That now I'll say this because it did take me till about a few weeks ago to understand that confusion. I'll admit my confusion that in the past there were volunteers who did it for free and they could choose not to respond to a call or respond to a call. The models I've been shown, the ones from Lemoore, ones from Orange Cove, Fireball, they are on call and they are getting some sort of compensation. Semantics, yes, they call it volunteers because legally, to be able to give them a stipend. It is a semantics thing. It took me to talk to somebody who did volunteer here before and explain that to me. But that was never the intention. And again, I'll apologize again if need be, but that was never the intention to just have volunteers who were not going to respond to calls. We did mention what the model, what kind of structure we were looking for, and definitely to compensate, of course, because this day and age, everything's way more expensive. It's difficult. People should be compensated at least for their time.
Okay, so my question. You offer the community that your budget numbers or projected costs will remain within a reasonable difference of that budget.
What the delta would be? So we would hope to keep it within the 5 to 10% year over year. Understanding, and one of the big things that we're fully functioning, we had a department established, we would be eligible because of our size to go for grants, to then get equipment, maybe even, the accessories and all of that, which would then, again, keep that cost lower. The rationale for additional equipment that obviously we're not going to have 5 crews right away, but we're able to have 2 crews, one that stays here, one that answers calls. The hope would be that some of that equipment could be lent out to CAL FIRE, and then that would also bring back some revenues.
And then how do you take into account the risk quotients on that?
In terms of
additional legal exposure to the city and things like that?
So we did kind of address it before. So we are with the Central San Joaquin Valley Risk Management Agency. So it's not necessarily, it's a pool. It's not like a straight insurance like you and I would get. And through that pool, there are other agencies that, they have their police, they have their fire, they have their buildings, they have the whole city staff. When we looked into it, it would just be an increase of having more staffing. The equipment would be covered through our vehicle coverage. In terms of, responding to fires, that sort of thing, sort of the same scenario with our police. Our police do go into people's homes sometimes. There may be incidents that happen. That coverage already exists. So the biggest increase
and the projected Kings County fire cost? Yeah. being maybe misconstrued is the fact that we have a $874,000 cost in 2024, and then we immediately rise to 1.5 in 2025. Can you explain?
22, the cost difference or the county absorbed was about 250,000. It was well under $1 million at that point with what the city was contributing at 400,000. The other portion that's not included, and this graph does show, is the property tax contribution. That is property taxes that the county retains and uses as a credit to pay towards fire services. That is still money coming from you and I as property owners. That's money that's Avenal money being paid towards that. And that's fine. The jump or increase is that as, everything's gone up, inflation. It jumped a lot higher than what we expected. I would not be able to tell you what 22, 23, 24, what that full, well, 24, they did give us that. I cannot show you what the full cost for the other years are because I don't know what the final cost or final number for our tax contributions is. I know what we're contributing out of the general fund, but they give us a credit and they're like, you guys just need to pay this. That's been, again, the change that's happened, understandable. I do not blame the county. I've said it before, I do not blame them. I understand. Budgets are tough. They'd like to have more staffing. That's why they showed us a 3-man model that we knew that we just couldn't sustain. They worked with us to keep it at a 2-man, but it's still very expensive. That first projection for 2024 was 1.6 or 1.7 million for 3. And then this year it's still 1.62. Cost that much, even after the discounts and whatever they've been able to negotiate down with us. Long term,
Attributed to certain projects at this point, or?
so Measure A goes back into general fund. It does assist, like I mentioned, a lot of different, it has helped with fire, it helps with PD, it helps with recreational events. It is helping to staff, well, we hope to staff the community center. But that's something we do want to be able to have open 7 days a week. So there's a lot of projects that we'd like to attribute it across, not just simply one. So the original cost of over 800, 900,000 would have eaten up all of Measure A.
So if we had to readjust that matrix or that mix of funds within Measure A to support paying for Kings County Fire, why does it affect the bottom line?
Because not just fire has gone up, but all other things have gone up. And as you know, we haven't in the past, we've always had kind of shoestring budget and not really doing many programs. We do our monthly events, but we don't do anything besides Kid Spot over the summer. We like to be able to have more sports leagues. We like to offer some opportunities for the youth, as our survey mentioned. Those are things that we haven't been able to afford to do. That's why we look at, what are the priorities that the community's been asking. There's a lot of priorities and, budgeting is difficult. No reason that this is going to be easy.
Well, thank you.
Angela Bueno.
Thank you. So Tony, I really don't. So my state. Y'all were only working for your own agenda, as you did speaking in your place of worship. Your presentation is again your agenda. What you have done is not a lack of information or confusion, Tony. You sent the letter to the county saying Avenal would not continue with their services. Inclusive community, as my peers here have said, we should have started with this meeting. That would have been inclusive community. Again, your agenda is not public safety. Cost of the fire department hasn't went up. Avenal just hasn't paid their part in years. If you guys did not know that, Avenal just has not paid their part in years. What I heard you while you were speaking, I was just taking notes. So, what I heard you say is that saving saving some money on the fire department, but continue spending on other areas, as you say, the community has asked for in the questionnaire that went out. I don't think they quite understood when they said, oh, we want more parks, we want more activities for our children, more inclusive things that they could go into job-wise. I don't think they realized that that was going to put their safety at jeopardy by losing our Kings County Fire Department. They just didn't realize that they were putting themselves in danger by requesting something for their children. I don't believe our community would choose a in our Police Explorer program. I have seen one young man riding around with some of our officers, but I really haven't seen that program working at all this year. So I don't know if we don't have any volunteers for that program, just like we don't have any volunteers for our fire department right now. So as I said, just general statement, I do appreciate all our community coming out, and I really want you guys to understand, I'm standing here as a community member. I don't have little children anymore. I do have grandchildren that come to my home. And if my grandchildren are in danger, community.
Just real quick, Angie, just to be cognizant of time, it is 9. How many more questions do we have? That way we can kind of.
5 more.
5 more. Are there any more? I mean, we'll keep it to these 5, and if there are any more, you can take them, but we may not get to hear them.
Omar Cortez. Daniel Verduzco.
¿Esto también?
Sí.
¿Me das la otra, por favor?
Oh, dice que he's gonna do it in English.
Sí. Let's try in English. Boom. I'm here. I'm living in Avenal. I hear so many information. Seriously. It's back and forth, back and forth. Can please let getting a middle point. I tried to participate. I tried the writing. I tried everything, but it's too much. They give me some numbers. I hear more numbers. I hear a voluntary hat. He was a voluntary, fire department. No, long time. In the other meeting, you was a voluntary. I mean, it's possible. Everything is possible. Yes, don't risk the safe at all. That's it. But it's possible. Voluntaries, no voluntaries. I agree. Agendas, professional, and numbers. An investment here in this town. I sold a restaurant in Atascadero to buy a few houses here. Now I'm thinking sell some to back to Paso because originally I'm from Paso Robles. I don't know. I don't know what is I want to stay. I love one girl. One she's already graduated from Fresno State. The other one's still in the high school. But please think about community, safe, and getting a medium point. I know you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Everybody can do it. Thank you.
Emily Pierre.
Okay, so my first comment is directed at the mayor and it has kind of already been addressed. But I want to say, Mr. Mayor, when you ostracized me and others as not contributing to the town, I just want to clarify, I shop here frequently. Did you buy those boots, belt, and shirt here in town? You bought those here in town? Please tell me what store, because I haven't seen a store that provides those clothing. What store? Next to the bank? What's the name of it? Okay, so you can't, okay, so you don't even know the name of the store in our town and he's the mayor. He doesn't know the store name here in town. So, with that said, I can tell you, I brought receipts to prove. And statements aren't even here, just my Venmo. I spend more money in this town than you know, so you will not write the narrative for what I do and my story. That is that we do have some people here that can volunteer and that would be willing to. However, none of them have shown that they want to because we do have a volunteer program with Kings County and nobody still has shown up to volunteer. We've been on this subject for 2 months now, over 60 days that people could have showed up and shown that they are dedicated and want to, participate, but none of them have. So I don't think that this is going to go in our favor, this plan. I do believe in this town, but we have to see some actions if you guys believe in this, because I'm not seeing it. I'm only seeing it from the officials up here. So then my last question is directed to you, Tony. We have had 1, 2, 3, this is the 4th meeting now on this topic. And after hearing the community, I think it's safe to
It's not what I want to do. It's the
What-
direction.
people
Direction I've been given.
spoke. It is primarily what you want to do because the people have spoke and we've all given reasons as to why we want our professional services and we've all given or to look into bringing Kings County Sheriff back, if that would save money. Because you guys keep saying that it's a good program, but a lot of us have negative feelings about it. Did you want my receipt, Mr. Mayor? Would you like to see them?
Salvador Juarez.
That I get these back by the end because there is personal information. No, yours. Okay, then he's not allowed.
We don't need to get into a little bickering.
Oh, no, thank you, though.
Just real quick though, Sal.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Does anybody make sure there may be an issue with the interpretation? Is Raina added? Okay. All right, go ahead. Sorry, Sal.
Good evening. First of all, let's thank everybody here. The presentation was really good. I appreciated it because it gave me a better understanding of what you guys want to come across to the community. And again, I've been to many council meetings in the past, and that's the way it's done. Hopefully, we can work on our council meetings and get them rolling more properly and more timely manner. But again, I'm up here because again, as far as the fire department, benefits from them for a long time at a low cost. Because according to what you guys have mentioned, not just us, well, I'm not saying the voluntary department is a bad idea, whether it's volunteer or paid. But the thing I want to point out is let's keep them around. I understand the cost is going to get a little high, but why don't we keep them and see how our volunteer department plays out? You know, let's give them an opportunity to say 20 people volunteer, 20 people going to get certified. But let's keep our volunteer in good faith because again, the fire department that we've had in the last 20 years, because I've been here since 1984. A lesser amount. So I'm not saying let's give them all our money, but let's work with them. Let's prove to them that maybe your theory could be right. Because right now the theory is not you say. But again, let's keep our fire department and then let's start the transition at the same time. Because again, we've had a few community members mention right now. This started in May, but we've been working on it for 2 months. All I heard 5 minutes ago was you have one guy.
We have a team.
Oh, okay. No, it's
I
okay.
mentioned the safety
It's okay.
advisors.
He's allowed to change. It's not a problem. You know, it's okay. But what I'm saying is, let's present them to the community. You know, we want to know who they are because those are the people that are going to save my life one day. They might save my son's life, just like the other professionals did. Thank you.
When I mention team, I say the safety advisors. In terms of anyone else hired or anyone being paid, no. We haven't started that department. That was the next steps to be able to then actually solicit people who would actually be part of, a structured paid fire department. Same in figuring out, we've been looking at who would actually want to volunteer, look at that long-term solution too. So in over 10 years, as I mentioned, we continue the trajectory with Kings County. Going to cost us, we could save $8 million, else it's going to cost us way more.
That said, for then a group, it was your other team. So thank you for clarifying that so much. Did you say in a beginning meeting on this stuff that it wasn't about finances, that it was about wanting to close the community and the fire department? And you have to say that it has nothing to do with the budget. It's not to do it. We want to build our community and do this and that. And since then, it's been nothing about the budget. And I understand things are expensive and not all. Differently.
That's
That things have been some responsibility or had been just taken back a little bit. Like crap, we messed up. Give us a chance. I'm not against you guys, just against the way that you proceeded with it.
point taken. I understand. Who's that?
Susana Lopez.
Did. I do have some points that I would like to talk to you all as community members. Okay, so I do want to say that the presentation outline that you presented today was not appropriate, and the fact that you use colors that individuals were not able to see from that back corner, small. I do want to state that how are we building this leadership with or have comments, we're getting shut off. So that is something that we have to build on to see if you. So as we mentioned earlier, you did say that this would be a volunteer program, and I understand.
That was an option. Now we're pursuing option B.
Okay, it's something I've been learning as we have been conversating. So something that I want to point out is that these individuals, after their time period that they're going to be involved in this program, what guarantees us what is confirmed that they're going to be a full-time firefighter? What assures us that these individuals that are getting trained are going to be here full-time? We don't know. Okay, we don't know. Moving forward, before my time has been over, I do want to also do a comparison with the police department. It has a lot to do with because they're an in-house department. However, we do see that they have an Explorer program, but is it active, yes or no? Do we have individuals involved in the department? No. So we do talk about trainings. Are these individuals going to be trained by looking into hiring these individuals? That is something that I would not feel appropriate to have my safety and plagiarized. Okay. So, however, we are talking about in-house. I know this is communities, and I want to point it out. I do see that we have individuals that future generations that don't like studying. They want their mom and dad to give them money. I've seen it. These generations are needed, as volunteers and so on. But I do want to say that if you can give us a list of 20 times soon. But yeah.
So as mentioned again, all volunteer is the model, knowing that it may take a while. Or paid model, having up to 15 paid, trained, certified firefighters in this realm. And the whole point, again, I know we made some comparisons with PD. PD, we have at least 18 employees. Here, Kings County, we only have 2 at all times, total of 6. And that's something we're, again, trying to build up to have more community members, more locals, be able to provide more service. Again, not saying that there's anything wrong with the service we have now, but if we're able to provide more service as the community is growing, as our footprint is growing as well, we are going to need more service. That service we got 20, 30 years ago, how to prepare for that.
Delia Padilla.
Good evening, everyone. I have been a resident here since 1976, so I have been a long time member of the community. Just wanted to question the budget that was of the projected. You're paying them 45,000 or 47,000. That's less than our part-time associate teachers at a preschool are making them part-time. So that's not including their PERS, their FICA, any of the benefits. And if we're looking at putting in a firefighter at full time, we're not even including benefits. So realistically, about 105,000. So the projection that you're giving us at 875,000, it's not real. So it's a projected, but it's not a real. Thank you.
Well, we did go a little over time, and I've written down those questions. I know there's more questions. We mentioned you're more than welcome to email our city clerk at cityofavenal.gov. Likewise, you can call City Hall. We will have another town hall next Wednesday at the Pegasus Ballroom at 6:30 p.m. to continue discussing, to continue providing an opportunity for community members to come give their feedback. And I'll count on it. And where maybe other community members who couldn't make it today. Yeah. We appreciate it, and we do want to continue dialoguing. Yes, Luther. We have the pet vaccination clinic, and we don't want to cause traffic issues. I will see. I will try. Yeah. The one issue we may have is the audio and then the screen and everything. So we tried doing it